So yeah, and I just love, I don't know, I loved YouTube. I loved like Shane Dawson, and I love like Jenna Marbles and all that. I wanted to do it.
What's your opinion on Shane since like have you talked about or talked to him about since like his major cancellation?
Yes, the last time I spoke to Shane was at a Jeffree Star skin event, probably like 8 months ago, 9 months ago. We've spoken over messaging a couple times since then, and it's interesting because Shane was my idol. Shane was my world. Like he's the only he saved my life, and he's the only reason I ever started
He
any of
saved
this.
your life? How did he save your life?
In the regard of like, in so many ways, really. But it began with like, I fell in love with the idea of him and his sense of humor as well. Him joking about fucked up shit. Obviously that didn't age well, but I'm saying at the time, to make light of trauma and to provide an escape for people who might need it. And I was that person who needed it. You know what I mean? Like I loved, you know, my household's full-blown chaos, awful. I'm crying. I hate my life. And for 5 minutes of a day, I get to escape, and Shane Dawson's day gets to make me laugh. And that saved me in so many regards, was the escapism of it all. And then I think he genuinely, like, the things that he was saying empowered me enough to think maybe I can do this too, which also saved my life in a regard. And then I accredited so much of, you know what I mean? Like I blew up because I made this video because he inspired me. And then I met him. And then at the time he was so there for me day in and day out, and like mentored the shit out of me on like how to do this and how to deal with all of the emotions of this lifestyle. And also just, you know, like pointers, business pointers. You're really funny doing this. Keep doing this, blah, blah, blah. And was there for me for years and years, all TanaCon, all the, just everything though. Like, you know what I mean? So it was hard for me when he got canceled. Like I was sad. People always say you like live long enough to see your heroes become like villains in a regard. And that's what it felt like for sure. And then it has you kind of second guessing everything. You know what I mean? Like I for so long I was just like, oh my God, now I can recognize he shouldn't have made that joke. And did our senses of humor at that time make our relationship inappropriate, or so on and so forth. And I think throughout it all, it just made me question everything and kind of gave me it was almost like a new chapter in my world, I guess. And after speaking to him, and see, I'm saying this in the same regard as other conversations we've had where I can't even think of all the jokes he made. And I'm sure I could sit here and be like, I think he's changed. I think he's grown. And someone could pull up one joke that's fucking awful and unforgivable and say, you're so wrong for forgiving him for that. So it's a hard water to tread in. But like, from what I see, because I don't see him all the time, I don't talk to him all the time. But when I have spoken to him and what I see, I feel like he's on a really great path now, which is good. And it's just, the internet's weird.
He wasn't doing controversial content for a while.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh shit, he was doing like blackface and
like, yeah, like that shit's inexcusable.
And asking his young cousin about sex.
Yeah, that shit is absolutely inexcusable.
Yeah. It is a question though, it's like.
And it's just so weird the way the internet works. Like certain people have been canceled for worse things are still filming a video and posting it to this day. You know what I mean? Like the line on the internet of who gets forgiven and who doesn't. And yeah, it's very interesting to me.
There was this one tweet you liked that I was interested in. You said, this person tweeted, the fact Shane Dawson made Tana Mongeau pee on him as soon as she turned 18 doesn't sit right with me. I can't believe I watched that video and thought it was funny. That's like your number one most viewed video, right?
It's one of them for sure. That's kind of what I was saying in reference to there was an era where I was questioning everything. Do you know what I mean?
You're looking back and yeah.
And that, like at that time, like I probably liked so many tweets like that about that time, about everyone, Vlog Squad shit, everything. And I think now I've come to conclusions about how I feel, like about that situation. I can honestly look back and say that it's not like I literally peed on him. Like it was.
That's what I was going to ask.
In a regard, like yeah.
You didn't pee on him.
No, I didn't like physically actually.
No pee touched him.
We made it seem like I did. Do you know what I mean? But I knew what I was doing. It's one of my most viewed videos.
He wasn't getting on. There was no like sexual.
No, yeah, like I can come to a conclusion now that I think it was too far, and we were constantly making too far fucked up jokes, but at the time the internet loved that shit, so we normalized the fuck out of it because it didn't matter. But I don't look at that as trauma. Like, I don't look at that now as like, that was really fucking weird and I need to, like, you know what I mean? I just look at it as like a different time, too far, wild for sure. But it doesn't bother me.
What's your guys' age difference? Like, how old is Shane?
It's a pretty big one, I think.
So that I
But
see
at the
that
time, he was so
he's 34, so he's like my age.
like 10 years old.
10 years.
I mean,
But so you're 18, he's 28. That's kind of a big difference. I could see him being like making sexual videos with you.
and I think that he had a lot of growing up to do too, in the regard that like he was just always filming videos with all of anyone who had clout at the time. You know, he was in his view getting fucking era, you know?
Yeah.
So he was filming all these videos with that same raunchy sense of humor with all of these upcoming people, some young. And I think that he was still in that very young like mindset. And he had a lot of growing up to do.
There's one bit he does.